Hi, I'm Arienette, and I want to show you how I made this fruit tart. The recipe is from lemonblossoms.com, and I thought maybe today you could bake along with me. First, we need to make pastry cream, and we need whole milk, heavy cream, sugar, salt, cornstarch, butter, egg yolks, and vanilla extract. We add milk, cream, and sugar to a saucepan, stir it really good, and then set that on medium-high heat. In a separate bowl, we're going to add sugar, cornstarch, and egg yolks. Oh, and a little bit of salt. Make sure you keep stirring the milk and cream as it cooks on the stove. We don't want it to boil over. We do want it to boil though. Whisk the egg mixture and keep stirring the milk and cream. To make sure that the eggs don't scramble when we add them to the saucepan, we're going to temper them. To temper the eggs, we bring a little tiny bit of that boiling mixture and add it to the eggs to warm them up before we put the eggs into the saucepan with the milk and cream. If you don't do this, the eggs might start to cook when you add them into the saucepan. We don't want that to happen. We don't want scrambled eggs in our fruit tart. Make sure you keep stirring the milk and cream. We don't want it to boil over. Once everything's been added to the saucepan, you want to whisk continuously for a few minutes. I recommend adding a little bit longer than the recipe recommends because mine didn't come out thick enough, and I think 1 minute of whisking would have really fixed that. Once your pudding mix is thick enough, take it off the heat and just keep whisking for a little bit longer. As soon as it's off the heat, we add the butter and the vanilla extract. Now we're going to transfer our mix into a bowl to put it in the fridge, but we don't want a skin to form over the top, so we can prevent that by using cling wrap. So when you put the cling wrap on, make sure that you very gently push the cling wrap down so that it's just slightly touching the top of your pudding mix, and then when it goes in the fridge, it won't make a skin over the top. And now we're going to make the crust for the tart. We need heavy cream, egg, vanilla extract, flour, icing sugar, salt, and butter. We start by whisking some cream, vanilla, and an egg. And then in a separate bowl, we need flour, icing sugar, and a little bit of salt. Whisk it really good, and then we're going to cut the butter into the flour. So this is a pastry blender. These are really good for making pastry. If you don't have one, you can use 2 knives. I'll show you how that looks in a second here, but I swear this pastry blender makes it so much easier. It cuts the time down a lot, so I really recommend getting one. This is what it looks like if you choose to use the knife method. It takes a very long time, and the pastry blender makes it a lot easier. You want to keep cutting the butter into the flour until it looks like wet sand. You want these like pea-sized lumps. It takes longer than you expect, and your arms should be a little bit sore. Once you've got that wet sand look, you want to add in your egg mix and start stirring. Now at some point you're going to have to switch to using your hands. This is not as hard as kneading bread dough. It doesn't hurt your arms at all, so don't worry about that. But you want to try to limit the amount of time that you're touching the pastry with your hands. So move fast. You don't have to have it elasticy, it won't do that, but it will get smooth and really soft. And then once your dough is ready, we're going to take it and loosely wrap it in cling wrap and then flatten it into a little bit of a disc. Then it goes into the fridge for a couple hours. You could even leave it there for a couple of days, really, it doesn't matter. We just want the dough to be very firm and the butter to be all chilled up by the time that we roll it out. Normally when I make pastry, I thaw my dough for a couple of minutes before I start rolling, but this time I didn't and it worked out really good. So you want to roll until you have a circle that's bigger than your pie dish. Don't worry too much if it starts cracking on the sides, that's normal. To prevent the dough from sticking as you roll it, I recommend giving it a little bit of a turn after every couple of rolls. So gently place your dough into your dish, and don't worry if you have little holes in it or anything, because you can take the excess dough from the sides and wet the back just a little bit and then press it onto the holes that are in the dish, in the dough, in the pie, in the tart shell. What are we making again? I forgot. So we're gonna blind bake this pie shell. So you need some dry beans or some uncooked rice or pie weights if you have those, or you can even use another pie dish or tart shell that's like slightly smaller. So we lined the pie with tinfoil, and then I used rice. We just fill it up enough to weight it down and then bake it in the oven. Once the time is up, we just carefully take the tinfoil with all of the rice inside. I threw mine away, but I have heard people say that they have cooked the rice after and it wasn't super bad, so I don't know, I might try that next time and see how that goes. As you can see, the top of the tart shell, it kind of shrunk down a little bit. That's normal. I wish I had built up more pastry on the top to prevent that, but I didn't know. It's my first time. So back into the oven just for a little bit to brown it up, and here's what it looks like when it's done. For the topping, this is the fun part. You just need fresh fruit and marmalade. So take your pastry cream or your pudding, fill your tart shell, and then arrange the fruit on the top however you like. I looked up fruit tarts on Google Images to give me some inspiration because I was a little bit nervous. It's my first time making one of these and I really like how it came out. So I used strawberries, blueberries, kiwi fruit, mandarins, and raspberries. I think they look a lot better when you go really, really heavy on the fruit, and I don't think I put enough on mine because you could still see some of the pudding showing through, and they do kind of like sink down into the pudding a little bit once they set, so yeah, I wish I put just a little bit more on. To keep the fruit looking nice and make sure it doesn't go brown, we take a couple tablespoons of marmalade and then warm it up in the microwave and gently dab it on with a pastry brush. And that's it. It's easy, it's simple, that's the whole thing. There's a lot of steps, but they're all really, really easy, and the last step is just so fun that it's totally worth making one. I made mine over 2 days, so it wasn't even that difficult. I don't think that I cooked my pastry cream, my pudding, long enough because it was too thin to actually like cut a slice and take it out of the dish, but it still tasted really, really good, and I ate most of this by myself. But yeah, thank you so much for clicking on me today. There are so many things here on YouTube that you could have clicked on, but you chose me, and that makes me super happy. I will see you real soon. Bye!